What the fucking hell were you doing? What were you doing, Josh, man? Yeah, ready to fight now. Ready to fight. That gets to that stage where you've gone over the game plan a million times in your head, physically, and it's just, you want to put it into practice now. And sparring and everything else you can do with opponents who can mimic Mauricio Lara, but no one's going to be as like Mauricio Lara is himself. So, I just want to get in there now and go to work.
And at Headingley, 20,000 leads people.
Yeah.
How much are you looking forward to getting back in front of them? Because it's nearly been 2 years, hasn't it, since you were in front of a home crowd?
This is it, and time moves very, very quickly. I mean, 2 years ago, like I say, I were a world champion, and I just been on run, 3 successful defences, and last time I boxed in front of a crowd, it was hell of an occasion. We had the drummers there, and went on to coach out in 2 rounds, and unbelievable atmosphere. The year before that would. Obviously with the time I won the world title against Selby. So having boxed back in February, it was a weird setup, a weird scenario. But I certainly can't wait to be back in front of the noise, in front of the energy that the crowd bring.
And have you allowed yourself to think about what might be next? If you win on Saturday, have you kind of looked down the line, or?
Yeah, a massive cheeseburger. A massive cheeseburger. That's the only thing I'm really thinking about. I know there's potential other fights could happen, but I'm just pushing that out of my head. I've got to win on Saturday, and that's all my attention is. That and cheeseburgers. That's it.
What do you think about the featherweight division at the minute? Do you feel it's getting pretty exciting again? I know Lee Wood's been mandated to fight Michael Conlon, things like that, on home shores and abroad. It's pretty exciting times, isn't it?
Yeah, it is exciting time. I mean, certainly domestically, there's a lot of big fights happening over the year. Obviously, a few weeks back, we had Kid and Jazza fighting for the world title. Like I say, Conlon and Lee Wood. It'd be interesting to see what happens with the champions overseas. Your Gary Russells and your Santa Cruzes, because they seem to be inactive. I know that Navarrete's been wanting to be out more. But yeah, Gary Russell Jr. and Leo Santa Cruz have both been very quiet. So it'd be interesting to see what happens with them. But to answer to your question, British boxing and the British heavyweight scene has been very good for the public.
Thanks very much, Josh. Best luck. I'll
Cheers,
pass you
Ben. Thank you. Hi, Chris.
Good to see you.
Yeah, cheers.
Want to jump straight into camp questions. How has camp been different this time around, coming up against Mauricio Lara again?
Well, it's not been as long. That is one thing what stands out straight away. I think last time I had about 6-month camp, because dates kept on moving and fights. We didn't know where we were with the pandemic, and we didn't have a nailed on date. So I was just training more or less from last August to February the 13th. So that's not a bad thing to keep in the gym. But when you're actually in camp and you're preparing like you've got a fight coming up in a few weeks' time, then it does chip away at you. So yeah, I'm always fit. I'm always strong. Going into a fight with someone who've already boxed, there's been a lot more technical work going in. So that's one thing what really stands out. But as always, train hard and fit for 12 rounds.
I know this question is going to come around quite a lot, but the fans obviously back this time around, and it's not just any set of fans either; it's the home set of fans and a noisy bunch at that as well. What difference does it make as a fighter? Like, what difference are you anticipating?
Oh, it's massive, man. I mean, I've said this many times, and I probably bore myself, saying it, but people will say they can't get in ring with you, and I know that, but it's what they do for myself. Like, it's the energy what they bring. the noise and the passion. Now, if they do manage to take an opponent out of his game plan, then that's a bonus. But I don't think about it that. I think about what they can do for me. It's just how my mentality approaches the fight, knowing that people are going to be there, and the noise, like I said, they're going to bring. It makes me switch on, tune up, and gets that adrenaline flowing, through the body. So it's going to be massive having them there, and I do like having my own crowd, and if I were to fight abroad, they'd follow me there as well if they're allowed. So like I say, if late stages of my career I do fight over in the States, I will have an home away from home. So they are fantastic.
Final one from me, just on the Leeds front. Fellow Leeds, although more of an adopted hometown fighter, Ebony Bridges joins you on the card. What's it like having Ebony on the card, being another Leeds fan?
Yeah, it's nice. Obviously, she represents the club very well. She talks a lot about Leeds, but I think more than anything, it's having the actual homegrown Leeds lads on there. You like Jack Bateson, you like Mally Wright, who's making his debut, Brandon Stansfield, Opie Price. These are actually. I mean, Opie shared a video over there on his social media with about 14 or maybe even younger, and I'm giving him a trophy at his club show down in Hunslet. So seeing like them guys come on and progress, it's a proud moment for me, because when it's all said and done for me, I want to be going to the arenas and stadiums and watching them headline for their world titles and big title fights, and hopefully I've been an inspiration to them boys who are fighting on the undercard and say, I was just an average lad off at a state, and look what I achieved. You boys can do it as well. So I think that means more to me than listen. I love Ebony. I think she's fantastic, and she's represent the football club very well. But yeah, the homegrown talent, it means a lot to me to have them on there.
Top man, all the best for it, mate.
Cheers, Chris.
Just firstly, your old nemesis Carl Frampton has said ahead of this fight that it's you that's under pressure this time round. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, I always feel the pressure. It don't matter, like any kind of fight, there's always pressure on it, because I've said it many a times, boxing's like any other sport. It's not like any other sport. You can't afford slip-ups. Nothing's ever scheduled, and it's not like tournaments are scheduled. You have to keep on winning in order for your career to progress. So yeah, I know that if I slip up, then I ain't looking at world titles and things like that anymore. It's been a long time to climb back up, and now I've been in the sport 11 years, so there's always pressure. There's always pressure, and especially, like I say, fighting a big audience, that does bring pressure, even though it's an advantage. But we're thriving for it. That's why we do it.
And obviously, it's your first time preparing for a fight on the back of a defeat last time out. How does that affect your mindset, and what difference does it make to you, if any?
Obviously, I know what to expect. I know what Mauricio brings. I know his. I know about the power in his punches. I know about how he moves and how he's going to approach it. So obviously, that's been helpful in the way that I can visualize it. It's been helpful in the way that we prepare for our game plan. So that's been a bit different, and I think more than anything, I've been coming off a lot of injuries, as taking the time to get back to 100% recovery. That took a bit of time, but we're flying. We're ready to go now. So it's just all being said and done. Get the results done and put it into practice on Saturday.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Josh. I'll hand you over. Good luck this weekend.
When you go back and you watch the Mauricio Lara fight for the first time, what was your reaction to it?
What the fucking hell were you doing? What were you doing, Josh, man? That was my initial reaction. Excuse me for my language there, but yeah, just disappointed with myself more than anything. Seeing the mistakes, and Mauricio capitalised on him. He seen him as well, and he took advantage of them mistakes what I was making. So yeah, when I watched it back, it was just the mistakes. How open I was, you know, like just yeah, that's it.
Now, looking at, going into this fight, are you considering it kind of evaluative, questioning, is it something that he did in the fight to win it, or is there a decline in maybe your abilities? Are these thoughts running through your head, and are you trying to find answers to that?
Well, Jeremy, you're making it sound like I'm old.
No, you're younger than me, so.
So you know what? I'm like, I was thinking about this myself. I thought to myself, have I had my peak? Have I had my peak? 2017, 18, 19, fantastic years for me, the people who I'd beat. And I had momentum in my stride. And obviously, I've been a victim of the COVID, having to sit out for 15 months, then back in. But it did take away from momentum. I mean, like 2 years ago, I was looking towards fights with Shakur Stevenson, Gary Russell, Leo Santa Cruz, and we'll just try to get them over the line, get them announced, and it couldn't have been done. And then obviously the pandemic happened, and I had to wait even a bit longer. But I don't think it's too much of a decline of what happened to myself. I feel fit. I'm like, on paper, all my records and everything else, I'm fitter, stronger than I ever have been. I'm experienced. I just think like there were a few things on the night what just wasn't right, and Mauricio took advantage of them, and simple as that.
You mentioned there about getting yourself back into the spotlight again in terms of the boxing scene. Do you almost feel like you're having to try and reinvent yourself all over again?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. Certainly when I see some of the articles what going out, it's like, fucking hell, people just forgot about Josh Warrington and what he's done over the years. I've been headlining shows and fighting big names since 2013. It's like all of a sudden, all these young lads who've had the bumps and the mistakes throughout their career, no one's remembering what they've done. They're just seeing what they're doing now. So I guess it's just the nature of the sport. But I think I'd like to put, like, by Saturday night, that'll be all put to bed, and I'll be back where I was. All right, Steve.
Hiya, Josh. Josh, can I ask a personal one? Obviously, the last time out was your first defeat. Away from the boxing ring, how did you take that personally, mate?
I don't know, mate. I don't know, to be honest with you, Steve. Personally, it's a good question. I just took it as it's happened, and we move on. As simple as that. There were a few times when it got me down a little bit because I was frustrated with myself because, fights that I should have happened after obviously didn't. But aside from that, the support has been absolutely fantastic from those who are around me, those who follow my journey, and they still stick by me. So nothing else really changed, My missus still loves me. My kids still love me. So, happy days.
Good man. The other thing I want to know that, Josh, is when you suffer a defeat that on paper looks quite comprehensive, do you in your heart of hearts know what you need to do to turn that around? Because a lot of people think that was such a comprehensive defeat that is a lot of people's favourite this weekend.
Yeah. Listen, we know what we need to do, and I think I'm beyond that. Looking into who's underdog, who's favourite, and stuff like that. Listen, we know what we need to do, and I've said it many times. I've been about the sport a long time, so I've been massively written off loads and loads of time. It's not new to me. It's about what we do on the night, and I've already got an idea of what people are going to be saying after. Oh, he's back, and then he is, and listen, I've just got to concentrate on what I need to do, and then that's it, and I'll be victorious in that.
Good man. I know everybody has mentioned the fans, but we were ringside for the Takush fight, and it is mental, isn't it? Just what does it give you?
It's just a different energy. It's just a different energy, and I've learned how to be use that energy to an advantage. You know, there's times when it can have an effect on the opponents as well. For instance, when I boxed Carl Frampton, every time he went forward, his fans went nutty. But that played into my hands because I wanted him to do that. And then he got a bit too wild. Whereas when my fans are going crazy, you know, it can get into their heads. But more than anything, it's just the energy that they bring me. It's just like it makes me sharpen up, makes me stay disciplined, and put on a performance for them.
Last one from me, Josh. Have you got a path? What happens if you win? And God forbid, have you got a path of what you're going to do if you get beat again?
That's a nasty question. That's Dave. No, listen, I only see myself winning. And that's it. And you know, journey continues with Josh Warrington on Saturday. Believe me.
Good man, Josh. Best of luck at the weekend, mate. Take care.
Thank you. Cheers, mate.
I know we've covered a lot about the fans. I know we've covered a lot about you know, the fight itself. But 2 points that have jumped out for me from the first fight were a few points that went under the radar. Number one being the heart that you showed in that fight and the chin that you showed in that fight. And the second point is a lot of people made a big deal, I think, about the fact that it's an arena, there were no fans. And it was you that took the brunt of that. Now, Mauricio Lara has never fought in front of 20,000 people before, and you have got that experience. Do you feel people should be looking at that a little bit more, and should he be concerned about that?
That's a brilliant point, mate. To be fair, and I appreciate the first bit you said as well. Like I say, our fucking more or less concussed from round 4 onwards, and it still took him enough 5 rounds to get me out there. And he landed a lot of clean shots in that sense. I know this time he won't get as many shots off of me. I can guarantee that. And secondly, yeah, it might be somewhat what he may have overlooked. Obviously, everyone's talking about how it can be a massive benefit for me. But like you say, he's never walked out in front of that. Now, will it bother him? Will it not? We won't know until the night. But there's factors to deal with. Like, I do believe the press conference and weigh-in are going to be public, and my fans they show the passion. They make themselves heard, and you know, even if it takes 1 or 2% off you as you walk into the ring, you know, you get a bit distracted and you start looking at people's faces. It's an advantage to me every time. So maybe they're prepared for it. I don't know, but like I say, I know how much of a massive boost it can give me.
Yeah. And the fact that you fought at Allen Road, you know, you fought at your club stadium, and you've got that experience. And
yeah,
if he's coming over here thinking, oh, it's going to be the exact same as last time, then it's quite foolish, really, because like you say, it's not only the fight night itself, it's you've got 20,000 Leeds fans, and they're going to be there at the weigh-in. They're going to be, and they're there for you. So I just think if he's coming over thinking same mentality, people can talk all they want about how dangerous this fight might be for you, which it is, but the mentality that he needs to have needs to be right up there as well, because you've got 20,000 fans backing you.
100%, and I'm unbeaten in stadiums. I'm unbeaten in Leeds. So yeah, listen, it's one of them things that I don't look at it too much on how they are going to be affected, because I have done in the past, and I've made a mistake of thinking that some of the opponents are going to get washed up with the atmosphere and stuff. But then in same breath, some of the opponents where I thought might be a little bit more steely, I've crumbled on it. He's only a young lad, and like you say, he's not boxed in a crowd like this, and certainly won't boxed in a crowd so aggressive and so passionate. So it'd be interesting to see how he handles it, and yeah, it's going to be a lot different from what we boxed in front of last time.
Yeah, well, not only will you have the city of Leeds behind you, mate, but you'll have the whole of the UK behind you. So thanks for your time today, Josh.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate that, mate.
All the very best for Saturday. Cheers.
Cheers, buddy.
I know you're going to be getting this question all week, but 20,000 of the Leeds faithful. It's been a long time coming for you, mate, after the last, the defeat. But how much of a boost do you think that can be for you on Saturday night?
It's going to be a massive boost. It's going to be a massive boost. It's already started. I still deliver tickets you know, and when people are telling me how much they're looking forward to it, it just gives me a drive. I know they're going to be there on fight night. They're going to spend their hard-earned money on tickets being there. They spend their hard-earned money on an haircut, a new shirt, you know, a few pints and that. And it's like they're coming to support you. So you've got to make sure that you're training, you're prepared as much as you can be, you know, for them people. And you know, I know on Saturday night they've been bringing their energy, they've been bringing the noise, and you know, I use that energy. I use that energy, and like I say, it just does something to me. It just does something to my mentality. You know, we're there to entertain. We're there to put on a performance, and I know that with that fans back, the adrenaline will be coursing through the veins as they walk into the ring, and I think that was the difference last time.
Sticking with the fans, it's been mentioned earlier, but I almost hoping that crazy atmosphere can get under his skin.
Listen, if it does, it's a bonus, but you know, I don't look too much into that. Like I say, I wouldn't like to be an opponent walking out to him. You know, you know, listen, we're respectful, but when you're against us, we're not the friendliest of bunch. So you know, it's going to be one of them. If it does get under his skin, then it's an advantage to me. If it don't, then like I say, I know how much it gives me a boost.
Yeah, and you were the obvious favourite last time out, but it seems, well, definitely in the bookies anyway, it seems a bit more split. But I just was wondering, after the loss, has camp and preparations changed much from last time?
Yeah, pretty much so. I mean, the fight was only announced like 4.5 weeks notice, 5 weeks notice. So, you know, there wasn't really much a game plan going into it. Just a case of just get the fight won. Whereas this one, we treat like any other opponent who I'd faced previously, where there's, you know, game plans and shots we worked on and movements we worked on. So, yeah, it's been a bit more specific for this one. And I think I'll say that on Saturday.
Do you think a victory here would also represent a big victory for Matchroom, given that they've lost quite a few fights recently to Mexican boxers?
Obviously, I'm representing Leeds boxing, representing myself, representing UK boxing, representing Matchroom. So, listen, I know Matchroom is worldwide now, but yeah, I guess so. Puts us back onto a level score, doesn't it? And we've got to start clawing it back. I think we've dominated world boxing in last few years, but you know, like I said, there's been a few upsets with the boys, you know, from Mexico and from all around the world coming over and getting some results. So yeah, we need to start fighting back.
I'll just translate that back. Sí, primeramente creo que voy representando no solamente a Matchroom, sino Leeds Boxing aquí en el Reino Unido y también en el mundo, pero obviamente la empresa de Matchroom es muy grande y tenemos que igualar un poco el marcador, ¿no? Porque hay muchos boxeadores que han venido aquí y han hecho un gran sorpresas, así que primeramente nosotros sí hicimos muy bien el boxing aquí en el Reino Unido y han habido algunas sorpresas, así que vamos a ver si vamos a igualar un poco las cosas.
What did you learn about this fight?
I learned that I can't stop punches with my chin. Even having a good chin, you know, it's not the best protection for stopping punches. So yeah, and I also learned that never. It's just, well, I don't really learn, but just give me a reminder that you can never take anybody for granted, especially in this sport. 'Cause it's certainly not a tickling competition. You know, you can get hurt, anybody can hurt you. So and I will never ever, as long as I carry on boxing, underestimate an opponent.
What are the adaptations you have to make for this second contest with Lara?
Adaptations, I think the mindset has to be right, and I think I have to just box the way that I know I can box. Like I say, I think I just got a little bit giddy last time, and I was looking for an early night, but not too worried about what was coming back. I know that I'm always fit, I'm always strong, but yeah, there's just a few little tweaks that we've done. I don't want to give too much of a game plan away, but a few little tweaks have to be done to get the victory on the night.
See those paintings behind you, your wins over Selby and Frampton.
Yeah.
In some ways, does this feel? I know it's not a world title fight, but does this feel on a par with those fights? Given this is your chance of redemption and everything that happened last time.
Yeah, I think so, mate. I think so. It's like every next fight is your biggest fight, and obviously the way that this one's been built, you know, aside from the fight itself, it's one of the biggest fights that to happen since the pandemic. It's a hell of an undercard, but yeah, going back to the fight itself, obviously it's redemption. It's a rematch, and yeah, mate, it does really feel like there's a lot on the line. So I'm treating it like it's one of them massive nights. Not treating it like, oh, it's just Mauricio Lara. He's a massive. He's become a big name in my head, in my life. So yeah, it's do the business Saturday, and we might have to do another picture up here with me and Mauricio.
And just lastly, is sort of the mental preparation key for this fight? Obviously, last time you just vacated the IBF title, you wanted the Kanju fight, didn't happen, and then you fought someone who was at the time unknown.
Yeah.
Now you're heading in knowing all about him. You fought him, and this is the only fight you've been thinking about. Is that key for you, do you think?
100%, mate. 100%. I think that it would be a case of like, just get him done and go home. Get him done, go home, and get on with the next one. And obviously pay the price for that, So this time round, all my attention, all camp has been about Mauricio Lara, and that would be the difference on the night. The way that I approach it mentally. Like I said, I know what it'll bring, so it'll be different.
First of all, you're unbeaten as a pro for 12 years. From what I've seen since the setback, you've dealt with it emotionally. Has that been just for the cameras? How difficult has it been to deal with the loss, the first professional loss of your career?
I think I touched on this a few weeks back. Like, for a while, it didn't really bother me, like initially after the fight, because I had so many physical injuries. I come out the fight with a fair few injuries, and normally the blanket of winning covers them injuries up. But the injuries were a distraction to the mental side of it. And then when the injuries recovered and physically I was okay, then mentally it started to bother me. It's like, shit, what's happened? I'm fucking number one in the world. Ring Magazine ranks number one. Box Rate ranks number one. All of a sudden I've just disappeared out the fucking top 5. Now it's all come crashing down. I don't even know when I'm going to be next out. I'm meant to be fighting for other world titles, and I was the man above all of these other fighters who are coming through, and now it's like I've been relegated, not just one division, 3 divisions, and that's what it felt like. And get to a stage where you think, what's going to happen? But then my mindset became, well, do something about it. Do something about it. You're in control of your own destiny. You need to do something about it. So, I think he were, for a few weeks, made it up my ass, and I was a little bit down. But then, like I say, I had a word with myself, and I was all right then.
Everyone, that was watching the fight, or I won't say everyone, but most of the people were essentially saying that you didn't appear yourself even before you were hurt in that fight. You still had success in the fight, but you didn't look anywhere close to being the fight we've seen against Selby or Frampton. What major differences, and I'm not just talking about mentally, but what differences do you see developing in this fight that will be completely different from the Josh Warrington that we've seen the last time?
Just the approach, mate. Just the approach. I just, like I say, last time out, I didn't give Mauricio Lara the credit, and I annoy myself like daily with that. I've annoyed myself that I didn't give him the credit. I should have been wary of what could potentially come back, and even at times in the first few rounds, I should have picked up on that as well. But I just still ignored it and thought I'd just blast him out there, and because I've over the last few years, such being a dominant force physically, and taking people's souls early. Like say Selby Frampton. I mean, Frampton 2 rounds. It's the fight was more or less done after 2 rounds, But I think that was the difference. I didn't do that, or maybe I did that too cocksure last time, and I know that approach can't last. Even with fighters who I've known about or feared, I'm wary. But with Lara, I wasn't. I didn't give a fuck, and I paid price for it.
And sorry, just to bolt on then, do you foresee a much smarter technical approach this time rather than trying to like gut check the fight?
Not so much technical, just the case of a little bit just more aware, if that makes sense. Just aware of myself, just worried about everything what could come back, and aware of what I'm throwing. I don't know where to be coming from last week round here. Do you know what I mean? It's like just everything needs to be a bit more sharper.